ሰላም ይብዛላችሁ ክብራትና ክብራን ቤተሰቦቻችን
Oh, with you, my life is so much better.
History by Tekle Haimanot. From United Social Justice, Aduwa Bright Victory Digital Library. History Research Center. The Hewitt, Adway, Treaty of 1884. Emperor Yohannis IV and the British representative Admiral William Hewitt signed a treaty in 1884. Signed a treaty at Adway. The agreement was known as the Hewitt Treaty or the Adway Treaty. In this treaty, Yohannis IV agreed to facilitate the safe evacuation of the Egyptian troops trapped in eastern Sudan via Ethiopia. In return for this, the British promised to ensure the return of Bogos to Ethiopia and make Massawa a free port for Ethiopia. Emperor Yohannis IV honored his words by allowing the encircled Egyptian troops to be evacuated by sending his general Ras Alula Njida, Alula Abanega. The British on the contrary failed to keep their promises and rather allowed Italy to occupy Massawa. The Dogali Incident. In 1885 Italy, with the help of the British, occupied Massawa and began to expand to the interior from the coast. The Italian attempt to control the Mereb Melash, Eritrea, was unacceptable both to Emperor Yohannis IV and his military commander, and to the governor of the Mereb Melash region, Ras Alula. Therefore, the Italians came into direct conflict with Emperor Yohannis and Ras Alula. On January 26, 1887, Ras Alula intercepted and destroyed an Italian army consisting of about 500 soldiers at a place called Dogali who were on their way to reinforce the Italian fortress at Seati. The Dogali incident was the first serious blow to the Italian colonial advance in Ethiopia. In other words, Dogali was the place where the Italians suffered their first defeat by the Ethiopian forces. The Italians condemned Alula's attack on their troops at Dogali as an unjust attack and demanded an official apology from Emperor Yohannis IV. They also demanded that Italy be allowed to occupy Karen and the Asorda and the Habab regions, in addition to reoccupying Seati and Wia, which they had evacuated following their defeat at Dogali. The Dogali incident created great anxiety and provoked an Italian desire for revenge. It equally offended the British government. However, while Italy wanted military revenge, Britain intervened as a peace broker, obviously in Italy's interest. A British envoy, Gerald Portal, met Emperor Yohannis IV in November 1887 and proposed an official Ethiopian apology for Ras Alula's attack on the Italians. This was totally unacceptable for Ethiopia. Yohannis declared his choice of war rather than accepting these proposed terms for peace. Therefore, the Portal mission failed, and Ethiopia began preparations for the inevitable war. Shortly afterwards, Emperor Yohannis called his people to arms. In March 1888, Yohannis mobilized a large army of 80,000 soldiers and marched to Seati, which had been reoccupied by the Italians. However, Yohannis returned without fighting because the Italians refused to come out of their fort and engage in an open fight. Yohannis did so partly because he felt insecure about his rear owing to the Mahadist incursions into Gondar and the collusion of his disobedient vassals, Negus Menilek of Shewa and Negus Tekle Haimanot of Gojam, who were plotting against him. Returning from Seati, Yohannis waged a devastating punitive campaign against Gojam. Then he went to Mettema to deal with the Mahadist threat.
ሰላም ይብዛላችሁ